Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today, we've got a full slate of updates to cover, starting with summer basketball. So, the summer basketball calendar has finally reached its conclusion. It kind of came to a disappointing end for both Atlanta Hawks that were representing the team in EuroBasket. It's wrapped up for both Kristaps Porzingis and Zach Risacher. So, Porzingis and Latvia fought very hard, but they were eliminated in the first round. That game was pretty close the whole time. It could have gone either way, but it ended up going to the Lithuania, Jonas Valanciunas in Lithuania. So also Zach Risacher in France were also they were upset in their opening knockout game, which actually happened this morning. They went in as heavy favorites. And they could not get the W. So that was certainly disappointing. And we're going to break that all down. We're going to break down both the finales for both Hawks players and what their play overseas, means for Atlanta moving into the new season. Up next, we've got Media Day and training camp all coming up. And then after that is going to be the preseason. So we're right here. We're in the home stretch of the offseason. So after that, we are going to pivot and kind of to some Hawks history, and we're going to look back at Paul Millsap's tenure in Atlanta. And we're not bringing this up for no reason. He was actually ranked among one of the best free agent signings of the last several seasons. So we're going to look at exactly what that ranking is. We're also going to wrap up with a forward-looking discussion about Jalen Johnson and whether or not he might be the Hawks' best player at some point in the near future, maybe even as early as next year. So we've got a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about how Latvia's EuroBasket run came to an end in heartbreaking fashion in their first round elimination game against Lithuania. After the group stage games, there was, each country played 5 group stage games, and then after that, it was a single elimination 16-team tournament that not everyone got to go to. I mean, we saw Czech Republic and V. Krejci not even advance to it because of how they performed in the group stage. But Latvia certainly played very well in those group stage games, and they clinched their spot. It was a battle of some rivals. I mean, and the game lived up to, what was expected through the first half. But really, as the second half unfolded in this game, Lithuania's depth and execution just proved to be way too much for Latvia. Latvia was the favorites as well. So, I mean, they pulled away, though, and they advanced to the quarterfinals. And unfortunately for Latvia, that means their EuroBasket run is over. But, I mean, despite the loss, Atlanta fans had plenty of reasons to be encouraged because Kristaps Porzingis had his best game of the tournament. He looked every bit like the franchise-changing big man that the Hawks believe that they have acquired. He put it together with a monstrous performance. He had 34 points, 19 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He did it on very strong efficiency as well, hitting 4 3-pointers and just looking like prime Kristaps Porzingis. He dominated on both ends of the floor, providing a paint presence that, gave Latvia a chance to at least hang with Lithuania until late in the game. It was a massive carry from Porzingis. He was the only one who was really playing any bit well. I mean, his performance through EuroBasket told a bigger story as well because early in the tournament and, in the group stage games and all of that, Porzingis struggled mightily with his outside shot. I mean, he looked like almost like that shot was gone. Throughout the first 3 group stage games, he had a combined 0 for 13 shooting splits from deep. That is ridiculous. That kind of slump could rattle most players, but Kristaps Porzingis stayed confident. In the final 3 games, he rediscovered his rhythm, and he knocked down 10 threes in those final few games, which is arguably the most promising development of the entire summer. That shot has not gone, and it's actually now at maybe the best it's ever been. He was knocking them down with confidence. So for the tournament, the averages for Porzingis looks like 20.2 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 1.8 assists, and 1.7 blocks per game, while shooting 47% from the floor. The 3-point percentage, just 26% overall. It looks shaky on paper, but that doesn't take into account the real improvement that he faced over the tournament. Hawks fans should remember that slump weighs that number down significantly. That doesn't paint the full picture of what Porzingis did this summer and, how great he's going to be as a shooter going into the season. It's worth remembering also, the role he carried for the Latvian team is not going to be even near his role in Atlanta. So in EuroBasket, he was the top option. He was the lead playmaker and essentially the entire offensive system and defensive system itself. He was the real anchor on both ends of that floor, and was certainly Latvia's best player. In Atlanta, he'll be able to slot in as a high-volume shooter, an elite pick and pop threat alongside Trae Young, but certainly not a number one option on offense. That certainly should maximize his efficiency and kind of lessen the wear and tear on his body. Just kind of the role we're playing him in. Also, we don't know how his minutes are going to fluctuate with him and Onyeka Okongwu. We could be seeing Porzingis only play 25 minutes a night. I guess we won't really know until we are there. I mean, last season with Boston, Porzingis was one of the best stretch bigs in the league. He had his best season from deep. He averaged 19.5 points per game and 6.8 rebounds on a career high 41.2% from deep. That is the version the Hawks are expecting, and based on how we finished EuroBasket, there is no reason for concern for that slump to begin again once the season gets started. It's a real outlier in his career because over the course of his career, he's been an awesome three-point shooter, one of the best stretch bigs in the NBA for the entire time he's been in the league. Now that his summer run is done, though, the next time we will be seeing Porzingis on the floor, will be in a Hawks uniform. What we have all been waiting for. Media Day is actually later this month, followed immediately by training camp, like I said, and then the Hawks preseason tips off on October 6th against the Houston Rockets. That's going to be a fun one. There's going to be a lot of intrigue for that first initial game. With Kevin Durant making his Houston Rockets debut, given that maybe the hope that he plays in the preseason, although at this stage in his career he may elect not to, but I assume all of the Hawks will. Now this is way too early, and this is more so just a prediction and not a report, but yeah, I certainly expect all the Hawks to suit up in preseason. I mean, simply put, Porzingis is the best center Atlanta has had since Al Horford. This is the best center the Hawks have had in several seasons. His arrival is going to transform how this team plays and really propel them into contention. I'm very satisfied with the way Porzingis' EuroBasket went. On the other side of EuroBasket, Zach Risacher, who has really been awesome, and he's had sort of a breakout run with France. It came to a close this morning as well. This one was a lot more disappointing, and not just individually, but just in thinking of the teams that were in the games. I mean, France was heavily favored in their first round matchup against Georgia. That is not to be said lightly. Boasting significantly more NBA level talent. I mean, this France team, even though Alex Sarr is hurt, they have Bilal Koulibaly, they have Gershon Yabusele, they have Zach Risacher. I mean, this is a country that has a lot of NBA talent. But in what was considered to be the biggest upset of the tournament, Georgia actually stunned France with an 80-70 victory. No one expected them to win. Everyone expected France to at least be a semifinals team, considering how they dominated in the group stage games. They couldn't put it together. For France, it was a deeply disappointing result. I mean, this is a program that has produced world-class talent. And they have expectations for competing for medals in every international tournament, just considering the talent that they have and the amount of NBA players that they have right now. While guys like Wembanyama and Gobert weren't suiting up for France in this tournament, it's still just like it shows you how much France has had an impact on the NBA in general. The thing is, though, this roster was very young. I mean, there are some 20-year-olds on that team. I mean, Bilal and Zachary, and they are a very young team, and that inexperience seriously showed against Georgia's discipline and fight just over the course of the game. For Risacher specifically, he finished with 7 points and 6 rebounds in just 16 minutes of action. Once again, France's unusual minute allocation was a storyline. That has been something that has been going on, really all of EuroBasket. I've just been super confused with the way France's coach has been giving out these minutes, especially when Zachary Risacher is on the floor. He looks like the best player on the court, but maybe his inexperience is just why he can't get many minutes in that lineup. But I think it's kind of ridiculous because he is outperforming all of these guys. Obviously not in the past couple of games. Well, not past couple of games. Last game, he looked pretty good. But in this game this morning, it was pretty rough. And then 2 games before that, he had another pretty poor game. But overall, it's been a very impressive EuroBasket for Zachary Risacher. But he's just never gotten quite the extended playing time that many thought he earned, especially earlier in the tournament. So, still though, I mean, his EuroBasket as a whole has to be considered as a success. I mean, he played awesome, and he seriously put the world on notice. For Hawks fans, it was, an early chance to see their second year forward compete against more seasoned professionals and just, give him a real trajectory on where he might be entering his second season in the NBA. He showed flashes of what exactly Atlanta needed to see in terms of his growth. And I mean, at just 20 years old, I mean, he looked comfortable once again. He looked very comfortable in the NBA last year, but on an international stage, he looked just as comfortable. Even more comfortable, honestly. I mean, just the way he'd get out in transition and defend these high-level players, it was just awesome to see. Contributing on both ends, really displaying the size and versatility that project him as a perfect long-term fit on the wing in Atlanta, and who's set for a breakout in year 2. So France's early exit, like Latvia, means that Zachary Risacher will also shift his number one focus to the NBA preseason, which is coming up very shortly. We are actually under a month until the NBA preseason starts, so we've made it, guys. I mean, we are right there. Like Porzingis, like I said, EuroBasket is done. the summer is over for those two, and it was a hard-fought summer. And maybe the most important thing is that they both stayed healthy. We haven't seen too many injuries in EuroBasket. Thank God, but this is something that we were certainly concerned about, especially with Kristaps Porzingis. But the guys stayed healthy, and now their focus shifts to Atlanta, where they will be tipping off action on October 6th against the Houston Rockets. So now let's take a little bit of a step back and talk about some Hawks history. So recently, CBS Sports ranked the signing of Paul Millsap when he initially signed with the Atlanta Hawks to a bargain deal as one of the 25 best free agent acquisitions of the last 25 years. It actually came in at number 20. So, the modern run of, the modern Hawks run of consistency, playoff appearances, a 60-win season, and 2 trips to the conference finals in the last decade. Wouldn't have been possible without one of the most important free agent signings in franchise history, Paul Millsap. I'm sure you all remember Paul Millsap. When the Hawks signed him in 2013, they didn't have super high expectations. The era of Joe Johnson and Josh Smith, it was concluded, and the team was really trying to retool around Al Horford and Jeff Teague and the rest of the team. Millsap was signed to a modest contract. I mean, really not a high number, but what he delivered was far beyond anyone expected. In just 4 seasons, in his 4 years in Atlanta, initially, Millsap was a 4-time All-Star. He earned all defense honors, and he was at the center of, one of the greatest regular seasons in Hawks history, that 60-win 2014-15 campaign. I know we all remember that because that was really one of the best seasons in franchise history. That team was almost perfect. Millsap himself was a real anchor to that team. He was a perfect fit in the system of Mike Budenholzer. Versatile, smart, unselfish, just a real leader on and off the floor. Across, those 4 seasons, he averaged 17.4 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 3.3 assists. He was also just one of the most underrated defenders in the NBA. He didn't get a lot of credit for that. But even in 2015 and 2016, he finished top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting. This is a real impactful defender and really good offensive player. He was Atlanta's leading scorer in most of those years. So, his impact is still felt today. Because he helped us set the standard for Hawks basketball in the modern era. Now, it was passed over to a new era of Hawks basketball when he left for Denver in 2017. The Hawks entered that rebuild, but his influence paved the way for the team to eventually land Trae Young and, now build towards another contending core. This upcoming season is probably going to be the best season that the Atlanta Hawks have had since that 60-win team. So it's good to, kind of look back and just see how exactly we got here. The ranking is a testament to just how impactful Millsap's time in Atlanta was. He may not always be mentioned in the same breath as like Dominique Wilkins and Trae Young, Joe Johnson, but Paul Millsap deserves his flowers as one of the most important Hawks of the last 20 years. He's certainly one of my favorite Hawks of all time, just considering when I started watching the team and really, paying attention to basketball. So it's good to see Millsap get his flowers. Him being ranked as one of the 25, best offseason acquisitions, just in the last 25 years is seriously awesome. So, let's close today by looking forward to another forward, specifically at Jalen Johnson, who, is set for another breakout season after, he really kind of has been breaking out in the past few seasons, but he has dealt with some serious injuries. So when Atlanta drafted Jalen Johnson in 2021, he was widely seen as a raw talent with incredible physical tools and all the skills in the world. But plenty of question marks. There's no doubt about it. So fast forward, several years later, and Johnson has emerged as one of the most dynamic young forwards in the NBA with a load of potential. So last season, before injuries cut his campaign short, once again, unfortunately, Johnson averaged nearly 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He showed the versatility of a potential all-star. He really could have been an all-star last season if that season didn't get cut short, and he only ended up playing 36 games. He has the athleticism to attack the rim, the size to rebound. Last season he was the best rebounding forward in basketball while he was healthy, so that is certainly nothing to sleep on, really. His rebounding ability is incredible as a power forward, and that's why his pairing with Onyeka Okongwu always looks so good, because while Onyeka is an undersized center, having a forward who has great size and great rebounding ability really unlocks both of their games. Also defending multiple positions, Jalen's really great at it. He can defend some guards, he can defend forwards, he can defend bigs. They've run lineups with Jalen at the 5. Crucially, he also showed flashes of improved outside shooting, shooting nearly 36% from 3 last season, and I expect that number to continue to grow now with all the spacing Atlanta has. Bleacher Report's Grant Hughes recently projected that Johnson could be the Hawks' best player within 3 years. It's a bold statement considering Trae Young's presence, but also with, the shaky future surrounding Trae Young. It speaks to Johnson's trajectory, though. I mean, I love him getting this respect, whether or not I agree with the idea that he could be Atlanta's best player. By 2028, Johnson is going to be 27 years old, squarely in his prime. And if he continues to develop, he could become the kind of two-way force that every contender needs. If Atlanta's going to be a contender even next year, Jalen Johnson is probably the most important piece to that. His health really determines whether this team is a play-in team or maybe out of the playoffs or a 4 or 5 seed. Now, whether he surpasses Young or not is less important than what it means for Atlanta's ceiling. I mean, if Johnson is pushing for all NBA recognition while Young remains one of the league's premier offensive engines, the Hawks will be firmly in contention. He's just got to stay healthy. For now, though, the goal is simple. I mean, keep Johnson healthy and continue building on the momentum that he showed before the injury. Last season, when he was healthy, I mean, the Hawks were looking like one of the best young teams in the NBA. They had a very positive record in the Eastern Conference, and they were a game away from winning the NBA Cup. So while that doesn't really matter, it's a good sign for a super young team. If Jalen takes another leap this year, which he very well should, the Hawks may have found their most versatile forward since maybe like Josh Smith, but with a more polished all-around game, which is really going to unlock Atlanta's offense and defense going into a crucial era of Hawks basketball. So that is going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. We broke down the EuroBasket finales for both Kristaps Porzingis and Zach Risacher and what to expect for them going forward. We revisited the legacy of Paul Millsap because he got some flowers recently, and that's awesome to see. We also, looked ahead to the potential future of Jalen Johnson as the face of the franchise. So training camp is just around the corner. Preseason begins October 6th in Houston, and soon enough, Hawks basketball will be back in full swing. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments, do y'all think that Jalen Johnson can surpass Trae Young as the Hawks' best player? I mean, I think he certainly can. It's not going to be next season, but, sometime in the future, he absolutely could. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on Hawks Latest. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Zach Langley, a.k.a. Langley ATL, and I'll see you guys next time.